Our world is powered by billions of smart devices that generate an incredible amount of data and value. This phenomenon is called the Internet of Things, or IoT. From smart homes and wearables to connected vehicles and renewable energy, the IoT is impacting everyone and everything. But today, the multi-trillion-dollar IoT industry is owned by centralized corporations that control our devices, mine our data, and earn huge profits with no value returned to users. Iotex is here to change the status quo and build a future that empowers users, not corporations. We envision a world where everyday people can own and control their devices, as well as the data and value they generate. A vision we call the Internet of Trusted Things. By connecting the physical and digital worlds, Iotex allows us to secure the data from billions of smart devices and extract value from it with next-gen dApps. Join Iotex as we democratize access to the new machine economy and return power to the people. Iotex is more than just a blockchain. It's a full-stack platform that enables trusted data from trusted devices for use in trusted applications. The Iotex Platform combines innovations in blockchain, identity, oracles, and hardware to make real-world data available to blockchain dApps for the first time. Secure hardware captures and signs real-world data that anyone can verify and trust. Real-world data oracles bring this verifiable data to the blockchain in a trusted manner. Decentralized identity enables humans and devices to own their data as digital assets. And blockchain enables users to earn and trade digital assets across the ecosystem of IoTeX dApps. The Iotex blockchain is lightning fast and EVM compatible, allowing builders to port over Solidity-based dApps and tokens in minutes and enjoy ultra-low fees and 5-second block times with instant finality. Governed by a global network of delegates, Iotex is the trusted and decentralized foundation to power your next big idea. IoTeX is the native token of the Iotex network. Being an IoTeX token holder grants you voting power and allows you to participate in network governance. IoTeX is a utility token that can be spent and staked to access various applications and services in the Iotex network. Delegates stake IoTeX to participate in network consensus and earn IoTeX rewards. Developers utilize IoTeX to power their dApps, create new tokens, and fuel crypto economics. Users spend IoTeX to access dApps, register devices, and interact with the network, and can also earn token rewards and voting power by staking IoTeX. The total supply of IoTeX is deflationary thanks to our burn drop tokenomics, where IoTeX is burned and airdropped to users after every new device is registered to the Iotex network. As the number of dApps, devices, and tokens on Iotex grows, the value and demand for IoTeX will increase, providing recurring incentives for token holders to grow and maintain the network. The Iotex network is home to an ecosystem of dApps, tokens, and services that connect the physical and digital worlds. By bringing real-world data to blockchain, Iotex enables an entirely new category of use cases where users can earn digital assets based on their real-world data and actions. All types of machines can be registered to Iotex and deliver facts about the real world to the blockchain, a concept we call proof of anything. From proof of activity to fuel decentralized healthcare, to proof of safety to settle insurance contracts, to proof of green energy to fuel renewable energy marketplaces. Real-world data will change everything for blockchain and spark a new era of innovation on Iotex. With Iotex, we can unlock liquidity for real-world assets and create brand new digital assets that will flow freely across our network of on-chain applications, information markets, and mining farms. And thanks to cross-chain bridges to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and other top blockchains, our digital assets will interoperate with the blockchain universe for endless possibilities. Join our global community of pioneers and help shape the future decentralized economy. Welcome to Iotex.
Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We have a great showcase for you today. I'd like to introduce Simone, who's going to be driving the session today. In the comments, we want to keep this very interactive. So let us know where you're tuning in from, what country you're tuning in from. And Simone's going to kick things off.
Hi, all. Larry, are you going to put me on screen, or should I just start now?
Oh, you can go started, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining this live stream. This is our first live stream about our hackathon events. This is related to the GR10 Hackathon winners from the Gitcoin Hackathon. As you may know, can I share the screen, Larry?
Yeah, of course.
Share the screen. Share screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Oh, here we go.
Okay. So yeah, this was the GR10 Hackathon that we sponsored with Gitcoin, and it lasted 3 weeks from June the 6th, and it ended up on the July, and we extended it actually for a few days more. So for this hackathon, we had three bounties related to the Iotex technology. And we got quite a lot of submissions for these 3 prizes. And these were about Web3 technology with Iotex. So we wanted people to port their favorite app from Ethereum or any other Web3 platform to Iotex. And then we asked for a very specific project, which was an analytics dashboard for our IoTube bridge. Our IoTube app is a multi-chain, multi-assets bridge that connects Iotex to different blockchains like Iotex, like Ethereum, like Polygon, and Binance Smart Chain, and more to come. And then, as a third bounty, we wanted the people to use our unique verifiable real-world data protocol to build some innovative application based on verifiable real-world data. So as I said, we got quite some submissions. Let's go through the ones that actually we selected. So for the Web3 bounty, we didn't have much, surprisingly, we didn't have much submissions. So we selected the 2 out of some submissions that actually worked pretty well, even though they are very simple, but they show how easy actually it is to start working with Iotex, just porting existing apps from Ethereum to Iotex. So one was from developer Piyush. He's not joining us today, so I will quickly show later the app. Another one was from developer Rafat. And the first one was a very, very simple exercise. And it was about having basically a very simple social network decentralized on the Iotex blockchain, which allowed to post messages along with images that were stored both on the Iotex blockchain and on the IPFS for the image part. And the second one from Rafat was a simple Disperse app clone. Disperse is a popular multi-sender tool for Ethereum, and Rafat ported it to Iotex. Also, Rafat will not join this session, so I will show the app later. The other submissions that we selected were one for the analytics dashboard for our IoTube bridge. Here it was not very easy because we had actually a couple of very good submissions. We had to pick one, and we selected the one from Skihearth. That's one member of the Misfits team, which is joining us today. And the other one, the last project that we selected was for the Power Your app with verifiable real-world IoT data. And for this one also, it was not easy to pick a winner because there were at least 2 applications that were very, very well made. One related to the an insurance, insurance the app, which incentivized people to drive slow and safe. And the other one, which is the one that we actually picked as the winner from JPIC, is basically an EPA simulator, which is an air quality levels the app, which verifies air quality levels and basically pays prices depending on the quality of the results. And JPIC is joining this session as well, and he will show us this application. So I would say, Larry, let's introduce the Misfits team and JPIC, right?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you guys so much for joining. Please start with an intro. Maybe we can start with Ukarj from the Misfits team.
Let me.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be here. So as you introduced, I'm Utkarsh. I'm from India, and I'm one of the 2 members of a team called the Misfits. My teammate could not join here because of some prior commitments, but I'm here and I will guide you through everything. So should I start with the demo or should I hand it over to JPIC for the intro?
Oh, just a short intro about yourself. Yeah, tell us more about how you got started in blockchain and yeah, what you're interested in the space right now.
All right. So I just turned 21 a few months ago, and I think I was 17 when I first started to learn Solidity. 17 or 18. It was after the 2017-18 Ethereum bubble, and that is when I started to learn Solidity, and I built a few Web3 dApps using that. And then my interests are also into data analytics and data science, so I kind of merged those two, and we ended up building an analytics bridge on top of on-chain data. So that is also what I do full time now. So that is my role. I'm into analytics of on-chain metrics. Yeah, that's about it.
Great, thanks so much. We're looking forward to seeing the Iot Dashboard that you created during the hackathon. And JPIC, please give a short intro about yourself, man.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sorry for having to lean in because my microphone's not the best. But yeah, so I actually have been more of a traditional Web 2 developer. So I did not get into Web 3 until about maybe a year and a half ago. Before that, I was just a kind of a Python on the back end, Node.js, JS on the front end. JKP Applications is who I do a lot of contract work for. It's actually my own small company, LLC. So that's kind of how I got into Web3, was just had some friends that really were into it, into all the coins and into the technology. I started diving in and kind of got hooked doing a few tutorials. I've worked on team hackathons, and I'm currently working on a team hackathon right now for HackFS for NFTs, but I'm an engineer by trade. I'm actually an aerospace engineer by trade. So we do a lot of, in that work, I do a lot of manufacturing, IoT, Raspberry Pis are all over the place. So IoTeX Hackathon just seemed really, really interesting the more I read about it. So it's kind of decided to dive in. It's actually my first solo hackathon. Normally I don't like to go solo because I'm not as good on the front end, but I made it work. So it was fun. I appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, we really appreciate you joining, and looking forward to seeing what you built as well. So yeah, Simone, please take it away. I think we can start with the Misfits demo of the Iot Dashboard and go from there.
Start showcasing your your application, right? It was basically not a real app because it was not using any smart contract, but it was pretty complex because you had to dive deep a little bit into how the IoT bridge was built. So learn about all the contracts, and those contracts are deployed on different blockchains, IoTeX and Ethereum and Polygon and Binance Smart Chain. So identify which contracts you had to monitor, what transactions you had to index, and then build a nice dashboard showing all the volumes and all the statistics related to these IoT smart contracts and all the transactions that are going on a daily basis. So yeah, maybe you can share the screen and show us your dashboard.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure if things are working.
Yeah, I think Ukarj is just bringing up his screen here. I see it now. Very cool. Okay. Great. So yeah, just take us through the end to end here. Kind of even starting with how you came up with this idea, maybe chat about the tasks that you did, and would love to see the dashboard, of course. You might be on mute, Ukarj.
Yeah, maybe you're muted.
Okay, you're unmuted now.
So I think our GitHub README is a good starting point for us to kind of explain it. So what we did was that we used two primary data sources, which was an OpenAPI developed by Covalent and the Google BigQuery data set that IoTeX has developed in association with Google. So the Google BigQuery dataset is like just the complete ledger of the blockchain, whereas Covalent has built APIs on top of that ledger. So we built a scheduler, a Heroku scheduler that I will be going through in a while to collect data using it, and then we had a dashboard web application that used Flask, Dash, and Plotly, which are Python libraries, to show that data in kind of a graphical format. So yeah, I think the scheduler will be a good part to start. So there were two types of transactions that were happening over the bridge, either into IoTeX or out of IoTeX into the other blockchains. So for into IoTeX, we looked into the docs that were provided by the team into how the IoT bridge worked. And the validator contracts on each of the networks was like a good point to analyze which transaction was going at what time, what was the value of the transaction, which token was it, and who sent the transaction. And for the other way around, like for into Polygon, there was a cachers kind of group of smart contracts called Cashier. So we use that again for Polygon, Ethereum, and BSC. So we tried to use a different approach, like using the cashier on this end and the validator on the other end. But to do that, we had to use the contract deployed on the IoTeX side. And Covalent did not support IoTeX, and because the problem with BigQuery was that not every, but a lot of tokens have different decimal points in them. Like some have 6, some have 8, and some have 18. So, and Google provided no reliable way to kind of judge that, and all the metrics, like all the value was provided without decimal points. So we had to add decimal points ourselves, and their token table was outdated. So it would create like a lot of disparity if we got the decimals wrong. So we had to stick to Covalent because they kind of provide the decimal for each transaction and the token metadata along with the transaction. So yeah, we use Covalent's API to get stuff like which network was the transaction going into, what was the date, the address, the transaction fee paid for the transaction, the token name, the token symbol, and lastly the value. So all this code is obviously open source, so you can look into that. Some things that I will point out is that, as I said, we got the decimals from the API, and we accordingly adjusted the value and then populated the data sets for both, like this function is for into IoTX and this function is for out of IoTX. So this is using the cacher smart contracts and this is using the validator smart contracts. And apart from that, all the other functions that you see here are using BigQuery. So those are the network level statistics that we have. So that is a separate tab on the dashboard. Apart from that, yeah, we are using Google Cloud Storage to save this data on like a 6 to 8 hour basis. So every 6 hours we are updating the network statistics, all the transaction on the bridge, and saving everything on the Google Cloud. And then we are, apart from SQL, we are using pandas to kind of get insights from the data. So for example, this will tell you how much, like what were the token symbols that were transacted on a given day, what was the mean value, and so on. And building on top of that, we had a lot of filters on the dashboard that people can use to adjust these metrics and kind of get what they were looking for. Yeah, that's about it for getting the data part. So it was quite difficult to figure it out for the first time for one blockchain, but after we got it done for one blockchain, it was just a matter of adding new contracts to the other blockchain. So that is a good part, that the IoT bridge works like similarly for all chains. So that is great, and it made our work easier. And that is what got us the data that we are using to populate the dashboard. And like I can go through some of this code. So what it does is that if you are familiar in Dash or Plotly, then it will make sense to you. Otherwise, it might seem kind of non-intuitive. But Dash is like kind of a library which integrates your Plotly, like what you're doing Jupyter Notebook if you are into data science, with HTML. So it makes kind of easy and gives you a Flasky environment to work, and handles all the JavaScript for you. So we had different graphs for everything, like the price graph out, the frequency of transaction, what the transaction fees were, and the transaction fee for the out transaction. And then for everything, we had callbacks. So the callbacks on the top are for loading the data. So every time the page is reloaded, actually not loading the data, downloading the data from the cloud storage. So Heroku scheduler runs every 6 hours to update the data, sends it to cloud storage, and then the front end application downloads the data from the cloud storage to show it to the user. And we're on like a free trial of Heroku. It is quite slow, the dashboard as of now, but I think if internally the team wants to add more dynos to the Heroku, it will be great. Yeah, so after that, it is all just using plotly functions to plot the graph and stuff like that. And we added like range selector and filters to again get users where they want to be. To kind of show everything that I just talked about, we also made a video. I think it will not make sense to show the video now, but I think you can share the video in the chat, and the video does a good job of showing what the dashboard is capable of and where we are getting the data from and all that.
Yeah, please drop the link in the chat there. It would be great. Do you want to show us the dashboard itself? Maybe flick through the end of the website dashboard you created.
Yeah, just quickly going through the different UIs and just showing how it looks like. Okay.
Lukash, you may be on mute. Simon, do you want to share the dashboard?
Yeah, it seems it has some problems, actually. Let me check. Maybe they... wait. Alex and preparing. Yeah, I think the team made some changes last minute, so the dashboard is not loading the data at this moment. So
Sure.
yeah, probably we can just go through some screens from the video, right?
Sure. In the meantime, I just want to share with everyone the subject of this hackathon use case, right? So we have IoTube. IoTube is Iotex's cross-chain bridge to Polygon, Ethereum, and Binance Smart Chain. It's one of the most, it makes Iotex one of the most connected blockchains in the entire ecosystem, and it's a safe, fast, and secure way to bring your assets from one place to another. So we actually just launched our IoTube V5, which comes with full Web3 compatibility. You can use it with both MetaMask and IoPay, and you can also, importantly, start to port assets from Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, as before with IoTube V4. But with IoTube V5, we've officially added Polygon support, which I'm very excited to dive into. So, there's a lot of analytics here already on IoTube V5. One of my favorite features is a night mode. So you can have a really sleek night mode to match whatever configuration you have on your computer. So yeah, I would encourage everyone that's watching to check out the Web3 compatibility with Iotex. That was more recent. So we just added 2 major code releases in the past couple months, mainnet version 1.2 and 1.3, that adds full Web3 compatibility and the latest version of EVM to make developing on Iotex even easier. So this is just one of the many tools in Iotex that really is going to propel us into the future. So with that, I'm going to flip it back to Simone.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And if anyone has any questions about the IoTube dashboard, we are going to drop the link to the video later on. But JPIC, I think it's your turn to share what you built. So if you want to share some things on the screen while you present, please go ahead.
Okay. Let's see here. So let me know when you guys can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. It's like fractal within window within window. All right, let's get off that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, I guess I'll start showing you a little bit of the code, but it's all on my GitHub, so you can kind of see it. But there was 2 main contracts called State Monitor, because this app, DApp, was supposed to kind of be the EPA, so it's an American organization, usually at the state level, that kind of monitors environmental regulations. So kind of the EDA simple tracker for air quality using what's called gas resistance on the Pebble Tracker, which is a device that really looking forward to you guys getting fully released here. I think that's a really great idea to have verifiable data, but that's an aside. But you guys had the simulator. So I had a contract that kind of handled all the device registration. So somebody could go on, put in their 15-character IMEI. It would store that and store the devices with this smart contract. Obviously, in the real world, a contract like that's a little bit expensive to store everything on chain. You'd be doing some of that stuff either on a centralized server or IPFS or some other type of storage. But for here, I wanted to keep everything on chain, so it was easy to access. So it got a little bit bloated in that regard. But anyway, so you can go look at that. That's what the monitor handles. And then okay, so the other contract was called a escrow, and you guys can look at that. But the escrow handled what was called the whitelist, the blacklist. So if something is misbehaving or a device you get that you want to take off your registration, you can do that. It also had an admin map, because only admins, there's a modifier, only admin, that admin can only do certain things. We'll see that in the app. And And then it handled the verification. So the verification to make sure that it used EC recover to make sure that it was actually the device that you claimed it was, the address is matched. And then it would go through and look at all the data and see if it's a success, yes, or thumbs down, you had too high of an emission, or the timestamp was wrong, or you weren't whitelisted. So it kind of went through and checked those three things. How it was doing on the back end. So I know you guys had a question. So if anybody's looking to run this, I actually added a second branch where I put the simulator that I use back in, and it's on the branch. It's not on the master branch. It's on the other branch called After Submit Improvements. And if you go now, you can run it. So it's got basically what it's doing is it's making a call, and then it's using a child process here to actually run the simulator as if you were running it from the command line. And then it's getting that data and putting it into, that will make Pebble .date. So I can show you kind of how it can go in real time. If I hit this run simulator button, you can see in the background, it's actually generating 25, depending on which button you hit. If I go to verify a deal, it would only do 12, but you can change it by feeding in to the command line different commands. So I added that back in, so that should be easier. Here's how you would start. It's pretty simple. You need a tab where you've actually got a blockchain going. I use Ganache command line interface, but you can use really Ropsten or any test network. And then you just start the server with node server.js, and then you just have to use truffle migrate. I've got this in the README. Truffle migrate will migrate the contracts after you clone the Git repository, and then you just npm start, and you should be good to go. And it should open up on 300, port 300, default create React app port. Should open up something that looks like this. So did you want me to go through?
Can I just clarify a little bit for people watching, not sure what the simulator data is? We have this verifiable IoT data protocol, which is the foundation of our innovative IoT plus blockchain applications. And that's basically based on secure hardware that is capable of pumping verifiable IoT data to the blockchain. And then this data can be verified at any moment by anyone, including smart contracts. So we also provided a simulator, which is a software which simulates a real secure device. And that's what JP used to generate simulated the real world verifiable IoT data, with including signature. And this data is pumped to a backend, and then it's somehow fed into his smart contract, which is going to verify this IoT data, specifically the air quality data, right? And then based on this, that contract, you can.
That is correct, Simone. It feeds in, and then basically you have, when you hit the verify deal, it will start looping over that data. A little more time, I would have done it as a batch, it'd be cheaper, but I just kind of looped over, and it starts to do a check deal info, and it will use EC recover right here. So it'll use EC recover to make sure that the R and the S, which is, as you described, it actually generates from the Pebble simulator. You have an R and an S that you need, and then the V, you have to loop over it. 28 or 29 is the number you use for that. And then you can make sure that somebody's not trying to spoof that data, or conversely, if somebody was like, oh no, my data came back bad, so I'm going to change the data and send it, it would not be verified. Yep, that's exactly correct. Yep, and that's all smart contract handled by that escrow smart contract, which for ease of use, I put all the contract addresses when you're using it. On a real world app, you wouldn't probably show that to the user, but I just thought it was easier in case somebody was confused. They can see, oh, okay, so you're having an owner, you've got admin list. I've already added one other admin from the wallets. You have the state monitor address, etc. And then I can actually pull, if you want to make deals for ease of use, when you run the simulator, that simulator is a random generated simulator. I separately have something that stores the private key, and then now I get a new address. And so if you want to make deals, you need a company address and you just want to make this stuff up, you can use that to like quickly paste in here. That's just what that's for. So I thought it just made it faster. Of course, you don't have to do that. So that's kind of the idea is you would register a device, and anybody can register a device. It has to be 15 characters, or else, so you could just, of course, your device IMEI. So you go to register, and you got to confirm that because it's actually storing that on the chain. So I'm an admin, so I can actually add it straight away to the whitelist. If you're not an admin, you can't do it. So that's kind of what you would start to do. You would start to, so you see how it comes up here. There's an address so that I can copy, so that I can know what the IMEI is for my deals. Yeah, so I've already made a deal here. So if you just fill out this info, you would put a company address. Again, I just use this up here, and usually just whatever it spits out randomly, I just put, make up a company ID, ABC or Acme, fill in this different stuff. And then I've got this UUID is made, so that's actually stored on block as well. And the UUID is made with the timestamp and some other, bytes 32, KECAC 256 function. And if you put it into this show current deal info, you can see that I already made a deal where I had 5 was the min threshold and 10 was the max threshold. And of course, I haven't verified it yet, so there's no count and there's no successes. So the idea would be now, so this was the part that was a little tricky on the simulator, unlike the real world. When you actually do get verified data, if I just ran the simulator again, it would be the original simulator. That would be a random private key, randomly generated by OpenSSL. Well, that would be bad because then it would fail the EC recover every single time compared to the address that you put in here. So I actually am storing the devices, and then every time you do get verified data, it will actually go fetch the priv key file that's stored as a string on block. We'll put that into the other simulator that I called Simulator Verify, I believe. Simulator Verify, which is now on the chain. And then it generates 12 data points. And that's kind of how it goes. So it generates 12 data points, and it generates the data points. So let me see here. I should have. So I actually put a number of 300. So this will actually start writing in the numbers to make it to where it's a little bit of randomness, but like 300, 330 is the top, 210's the bottom. I did 0.7 times the number and 1.1 times the number. So basically you get a little randomness where you're going to fail some, but you should succeed most of the time, but there's some randomness built in. Also have a timestamp that's built in here that this is the timestamp you would put when you started, and then it calculates the length you and does what's called a time delta, and then it just updates the delta, and it purposely has it to where it overshoots on the end, so you should have 1 or 2 that fail because they're out of the time frame. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in the background there. And then once you're ready to verify, there's a verify button that comes up. This is a little bit obnoxious because you have to do it 12 times. I said I'd probably do this as a batch, but then you start running your verify, and I've got the balances here. So I already put a balance in, so it paid the escrow, whatever that is, 1 billion ETH or 1 billion Wei, sorry. And then when you start verifying, it'll start going through. Of course, you have to pay for that each time. So this is where I was running out of time, so I just did it as a loop. But you would want to do this as a batch, or possibly put it in off chain. But anyway, it's confirming. You got to do it. It's a little, as I said, it's a little bit obnoxious. That's why I only did 12 and not 40. And then at the end, when all is done, for instance, now if I do get current deal data, you see how the current deal data now is reading off the block that there was 9 successes. At 12 total counts, so 3 failed, 9 successes. So I should have had a partial payout. So hopefully, if all works well, the balance will have went down a tenth. It looks like, I think that went down to 90% because I had an extra 0 there. I'll have to double check. But that's kind of the idea. Is there's an automatic trigger on the escrow that would pay out. So that's kind of how it works. And as I said, I upgraded the branch to where if somebody wants to try it out, All they have to do is a simple start a test chain, however they prefer. I do Ganache command line. Start the server with Node Server.js and migrate it with Truffle and npm start, and then they can try it out themselves or hack on it as they please.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for the overview. You know, this is a great example of, you know, how verifiable data can be used and layered on with incentives in different ways to really, you know, create balanced use cases, right? You know, talk to us a little bit about the motivation for picking the EPA, the air quality kind of topic. Why is that important today? You know, we hear a lot about the Bitcoin mining, green energy things, but how could a decentralized kind of contracts for air quality, you know, transform our world?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my background real quick was, you know, I'm an engineer and I actually still do a lot of engineering work, and I actually, we do a lot of wood products. So there's a big push right now and for what are called volatile organic compounds, something like sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxides, different combustion products and reagents, reactants, and all that stuff, that water vapor, all that stuff is monitored by the EPA. It varies by state. So some states like California would be more strict than Mississippi or whatever. But yeah, so they're testing this stuff. And in fact, the company I work for, we actually put sensors out there, more so because we want to make sure that we're not over the threshold, because the way it's currently scheduled, you kind of get like an audit or something where they go out, they would start taking measurements or they would look at it. But if you had something like a Pebble Tracker, then the government, who wouldn't have to trust that we weren't tampering, you know, like right now they couldn't trust the company that we would self-report the data accurately, you know. So if we had something like a Pebble Tracker, and let's say, for instance, it was reading, you know, let's say we did the same idea, but you added sulfur dioxide or something, or NOx, and you were looking at those emissions, now they could trust us without actually having to go out and on site. And a lot of these kiln areas are very rural, so, you know, travel cost and getting people on site, and then they have to go up to wherever it is they're trying to monitor. Typically it's man lift, or it's not easy access, it's not on ground level. They wouldn't have to do that anymore. They could trust your data, or they could verify your data. So if you were tampering with it, they'd be able to see that right away. So I just thought that it's kind of a use case that I've been around personally. So it just was, and I just thought that would be something that would be nice, that they wouldn't have to travel all the way out into the boonies, or whatever we call them, and go, because these are typically in rural areas where there's lots of cheap land. They wouldn't have to actually physically go on there, get a man lift, go up and verify the data. They could just verify it through the smart contract, and then they could actually do whatever it is that they agreed to. In this case, it was a proportion payout, but it could be anything. Who knows? You know, maybe a token that says that you're doing good and you can apply for some green energy, you know, program or something. I mean, who knows?
Absolutely. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, it's just to give people an idea of the different data that Pebble has. So this is one of our new devices called Pebble Tracker, coming to developers and to users very, very soon. And the unique part of Pebble Tracker is it has multiple sensors on the board. It tracks things like GPS location, climates in the form of temperature, humidity, and air quality, which is used in JPIC's use case there. It has motion and vibration through accelerometer and gyroscope, and it has light. So it really gives a full 360 view of an environment, whether it's a package, a person, or a remote setting. So these days, with COVID and everything flying around, it's difficult to know, you know, what kind of air we're breathing in a lot of ways. So this kind of verifiable way to bring data from the real world to the blockchain is going to just unlock an entirely new category of use cases that we can connect the physical and the digital worlds. You know, Pebble Tracker, we've been working on this for a couple of years now, actually, with Nordic Semiconductor and some other partners. Really encourage everyone to check out the website. But it's really about tamper-proof hardware and tamper-proof software. Those that really want to get started building on it, we have a really nice Pebble Tracker simulator on GitHub, where you can start to simulate some of the data that would come from a Pebble Tracker, and the simulator signs the data to make it verifiable. And it's a great way to get started. and start to familiarize yourself with all the data points that Pebble collects and how it could be used. So it's really great to see this in action through JPIC's project here. As he mentioned, if anyone wants to build on top of what he has, it's the spirit of the dev community to, use this open source code to build something great. And finally, if you guys haven't ordered Pebble Tracker and are interested in building with real world data, we have a page here on Crowd Supply. I'm going to drop this link in the chat where you can order this device. It should be shipped by the end of Q3 and start to play with real world data for the very first time. But thanks so much for the overview, JPIC, and definitely share the GitHub link in the comments here if anyone wants to check out and build over. And before we move on to the last kind of challenge, right? We covered the IoTube challenge. We covered the real world data with Pebble Tracker challenge. And finally, Simone's going to share a quick walkthrough of how to port over an existing DApp to Iotex with ease. But before we get into that, I have a video from the previous IoTube bridge analytics that I'm going to play just to give you an idea of the great dashboard that the Misfits team had created.
Submitted as the part of Grant's Round 10 Hackathon by Gitcoin and IoTeX, Team The Misfits have an analytics dashboard that not only covers the bridge volume and token statistics, but also the network statistics. This dashboard web application has been hosted on Heroku with continuous integration enabled with GitHub. Notably, all the data is automatically updated twice every day using advanced schedulers. This frequency can be adjusted and altered based on the corporate needs without any hassle. We have used Python, Dash, and Flask as the base for everything that you see here, with the graphs and visualizations developed using the Plotly library. We would like to mention our primary data sources on the outset. These are on-chain data made available publicly by Google via BigQuery, the open APIs provided by Covalent and IoTexScan.io analytics made available by their GraphQL endpoint. Starting off with the landing page, we've covered important network level analytics like daily transactions, unique active users, cumulative gas used, average and total network transaction fee in USD. Notably, all these transactions can be compared with other EVM compatible chains like Ethereum, Polygon, BSC in order to get a relative sense of the performance. Moving on to the bridge analytics page, all the statistics can again be compared across chains. We have inflow volume, unique user count, and average transaction fee covered on this particular page. Since these graphs are interactive, anybody can hover over to get information or filter based on specific time intervals using the slider of the tabs. Lastly, the token transfer page takes the bridge analytics a step further by distilling the data based on the crypto token bridged. Tokens to consider can be simply added or removed interactively using the checkboxes. The frequency of inflow transactions by token and network can be studied using an interactive tree map followed by volume of transfers by token. For a more detailed insight, the line graph at the bottom can be filtered not only by token but also by network to get insights into the volume, frequency, average value, and median of bridge actions.
Awesome. And again, that's just the analytics dashboard for a cross-chain bridge, IoTube, which is supporting Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, and Ethereum now. And the best part of all of this, in the spirit of this hackathon, is IoTube is completely open source. So, this is another way that you can start to build on what we've done with IoTube. So I'm going to drop the GitHub link. Encourage everyone to just check out the IoTeX GitHub. There's so many repositories, so many things to get involved in. So here we go. And, just some feedback for you, JPick. Our community loved the presentation that you made. Cool use case. But I'm going to pass it back over here to Simone, and he's going to share a little bit about how easy it is to port existing Solidity D apps onto Iotex.
Yeah, I want to thank you, both JPick and the Misfits teams, because you really guys went the extra mile with this hackathon and did a lot of work. I've been in contact with both of you during the development and the chat, and I know how much effort you put into your project. So really, thank you for adding this great value to the Iotex blockchain. For the dashboard, we had some issues. It seems that Google is complaining about something. So it's not online, but we will put it online, and we will add the link down to the video description. So let's go ahead and we can wrap this video with the last but not least projects about Web3 applications. We had 2 applications that are easy, but they are very important because they can be targeted to those beginners developers, which I'm sure there are a lot interested in starting building with the blockchain, and specifically with Iotex. And thanks to these 2 easy projects, you can see how easy it is to just develop to just build Web3 apps with Iotex. The first one is from the developer Rafat, who built this Disperse the app clone. Rafat could not make it to this call, but he sent us a nice email, and he wanted to introduce himself. So I'm going to read it to you. He said, I'm fairly new to the blockchain space, as my experience is mostly in digital signal processing. So I feel lucky to have discovered Iotex blockchain. I picked the simple project like Disperse app, as I am very pressed for time these days, and it's perhaps the only thing I could have finished in time. However, I am fully committed to keep building on Iotex and exploring the Pebble Tracker concept in the next on my agenda. My congratulations to every developer who participated in this hackathon, and my thanks to the entire Iotex team for giving us all these opportunities. So I want to thank you, Rafat, for putting forth in for providing this project open source for all Iotex interested developers. So let me quickly share this project. Project. Can you see my screen? Yes. So yeah, this is the repository. It's really a very easy application, and basically the contract is really basic. It's the already publicly available Disperse contract with just Disperse either. So it's just, this contract is just being copy pasted and deployed to the Iotex blockchain, which really explains how easily you can port any DApps from any Ethereum compatible blockchain to Iotex. And so it basically has this main function call that multi-send tokens to a list of token addresses. And the front end, I think this is not cloned, but the original one, because I think it's not open source, but Rafat made his own front end, which can connect to MetaMask. My MetaMask is actually configured to be interacting with the Iotex mainnet. So you can just, again, connect to MetaMask. Not sure. Let me update the page. Of course, all developers had not enough time to build complete projects, so I'm not sure if I'm doing anything wrong here. Right, I should be on MetaMask on Iotex testnet. So this application has been developed to work for the Iotex testnet. So I have MetaMask configured to interact with the Iotex testnet. I connected the UI to MetaMask, and then I can just disperse or multi-send either the native currency, which is the IoTeX token, or any XRC20 token on the Iotex blockchain. So it's a very popular but very useful application to have available on any blockchain platform. So this was made pretty well. It's cloning the original application very, very carefully, actually, and it supports basically any CSV formatted list of addresses and amounts, and you can input any type of separator. So pretty accurate, I would say. And I tested it, and I must say it works very well. So very useful application to have, and very good starting point for people who want to learn how to deploy application, an Ethereum application on Iotex. I can give you a small hint. Actually, the only thing you have to do, just go to the Iotex documentation website on docs.iotex.io, check out the Ethereum development section, and in the Web3.js subsection, you will notice really the only line of code that you need to change in a Web3 application to make it work with Iotex. Simply initialize your Web3 object, this is in JavaScript, with the Iotex Ethereum compatible, well, Web3 compatible endpoint of the blockchain. And that's it. Your Web3 application can just be built, and it can interact with your smart contract on Iotex. On the smart contract side, it's as easy as going on remix.ethereum.io and deploy your smart contract there. Ethereum.io, and yeah, and just when you're going to build, you just select injected Web3, which will basically start the transactions using your MetaMask. Your MetaMask is configured to interact with the Iotex blockchain, so your deployment will happen on the Iotex blockchain. And so basically that's it. And in the documentation, you will also find how you can configure MetaMask to work with the Iotex blockchain, both the mainnet and the testnet. Here in the Iotex wallets, MetaMask wallet, you will see how quickly you can just configure MetaMask to interact with the Iotex blockchain. The other project is made by a developer, Piyush. He is another beginner developer who, I think this is one of his first projects. So thank you for joining our hackathon, and we appreciate the effort you made. He basically just picked the popular Solidity example, which is basically an example of a decentralized social network. I will show you directly how the website looks like. This is very simple. You just this is an idea of a social network where you have a sequence of posts. Each post is made by a text field and an image field, and anyone can just tip some Iotex to posts that they like. So just click here, connect to MetaMask. I don't have enough funds, and anyway, tip your tokens to your favorite posts. Same way, you can just select an image, whatever we want to select. Let's say this one. We love Iotex, and let's see if I have some tokens and say upload. And yeah, again, I guess I'm on the wrong address here. So anyway, I will not go through the application, and you can test and download the code yourself and test it. This is very easy, and as well as for the previous one, the only thing you have to do to deploy this application is just configure. This one was developed using Truffle for the smart contract side. So just configure your Truffle to interact with the Iotex blockchain here at the moment of the deployment of the contract. And on the front-end side, just configure your Web3 object to connect to the Iotex Web3 endpoint, and you are done. So yeah, I think that's all we can wrap with these two easy projects for any beginners who want to start learning Iotex as a very good starting point, I must say. So thank you to Rafat and Piyush developers as well for joining this hackathon.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining. And just to wrap, I want to share some resources that any developer looking to build on Iotex can start to use. So those that have followed us for a while probably saw we have a nice, sleek new website. And it's not just the homepage, it's also some of these sub pages. So iotex.io/developers is your hub for everything that you need to start getting to start building, right? Learn about what makes Iotex unique, not only from the EVM compatible standpoint, but all the developer tools out there that make building on this easy. Also the research that backs our platform, and just a lot of getting started guides for developers. The other amazing resource is our docs page that Simone kind of shared. So docs.iotex.io has all of the different areas and some walkthroughs of different parts of DApp development, how to use middleware, aka decentralized identity on the network, how to start working with verifiable IoT data, and a lot of reference points. So definitely something good to browse in this Git book. And finally, on GitHub, of course, this is the master repo where we have all of our 146 repositories that make up the Iotex network. So there's a lot of amazing things going on, from IoTube to the Iotex core blockchain to the Explorer. Of course, Iotex has always embraced the fully open source mentality. So everything that you play with on a daily basis, whether it's staking or the IoPay or IoTube, all of that is open source, and we encourage all the developers to really check that out. So, with that, I want to also encourage everyone to please check out our dev Discord. If you want to jump in and meet some of the other members of the dev community, this is something that we're just getting started. So definitely check out the Iotex dev Discord. But just want to say thanks again to the Misfits and JPIC for your awesome work and presentations. It's really amazing what you guys were able to build in just a few short weeks here on the Iotex network. And we look forward to seeing how you're going to expand these projects over time. But with that, we're going to sign off for today. Really appreciate everyone that tuned in, and we will hopefully have many more hackathons coming very shortly. So yeah, with that, we're going to sign off for today, and we're going to end with a few videos, just the ones that we played in the beginning. But hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Our world is powered by billions of smart devices that generate an incredible amount of data and value. This phenomenon is called the Internet of Things, or IoT. From smart homes and wearables to connected vehicles and renewable energy, the IoT is impacting everyone and everything. But today, the multi-trillion-dollar IoT industry is owned by centralized corporations that control our devices, mine our data, and earn huge profits with no value returned to users. Iotex is here to change the status quo and build a future that empowers users, not corporations. We envision a world where everyday people can own and control their devices, as well as the data and value they generate. A vision we call the Internet of Trusted Things. By connecting the physical and digital worlds, Iotex allows us to secure the data from billions of smart devices and extract value from it with next-gen dApps. Join Iotex as we democratize access to the new machine economy and return power to the people. Iotex is more than just a blockchain. It's a full-stack platform that enables trusted data from trusted devices for use in trusted applications. The Iotex Platform combines innovations in blockchain, identity, oracles, and hardware to make real-world data available to blockchain dApps for the first time. Secure hardware captures and signs real-world data that anyone can verify and trust. Real-world data oracles bring this verifiable data to the blockchain in a trusted manner. Decentralized identity enables humans and devices to own their data as digital assets. And blockchain enables users to earn and trade digital assets across the ecosystem of IoTeX dApps. The IoTeX blockchain is lightning fast and EVM compatible, allowing builders to port over Solidity-based dApps and tokens in minutes and enjoy ultra-low fees and 5-second block times with instant finality. Governed by a global network of delegates, IoTeX is the trusted and decentralized foundation to power your next big idea. The IoTeX network is home to an ecosystem of dApps, tokens, and services that connect the physical and digital worlds. By bringing real-world data to blockchain, IoTeX enables an entirely new category of use cases where users can earn digital assets based on their real-world data and actions. All types of machines can be registered to IoTeX and deliver facts about the real world to the blockchain, a concept we call proof of anything. From proof of activity to fuel decentralized healthcare, to proof of safety to settle insurance contracts, to proof of green energy to fuel renewable energy marketplaces. Real-world data will change everything for blockchain and spark a new era of innovation on IoTeX. With IoTeX, we can unlock liquidity for real-world assets and create brand new digital assets that will flow freely across our network of on-chain applications, information markets, and mining farms. And thanks to cross-chain bridges to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and other top blockchains, our digital assets will interoperate with the blockchain universe for endless possibilities. Join our global community of pioneers and help shape the future decentralized economy. Welcome to IoTeX.